Welcome, travelers, to our podcast. And today we have a very special guest, Angel Hayes. How are you doing, Angel?
I'm good, thank you.
Angel, she is a nature/landscape photographer.
Yes.
Is that correct?
Yeah.
Now, is it a combination of the two, or is it either or for landscape nature?
It's just whatever my mood is at that time.
Because I always think it's the same thing, but I wasn't brought up into a landscape nature photographer, so I'm like, yeah, that sounds right, sure. So Angel's been doing this for about 10 plus years. She started out as a serious photographer for family and kids.
Yes. That was the first photography I did.
And then after how long did you kind of venture out to more nature landscape?
It was probably a few years after that when I got my first SLR. It wasn't even digital. It was film.
Oh, wow.
I quickly ended up with a digital camera. It was very much low end, but that's just where I started.
And we have our special guest, and you can catch this podcast here on Spotify and Apple Podcasts. And you can also catch us on Tuesdays where you can watch the video side of things. We will have a more content, more videos, and we might have something extra special at the end of the episode as well. And how long have you lived in the Pacific Northwest or in Washington?
My entire life.
Really?
Born and raised here.
Nice. You lived kind of, we're kind of in the Whatcom area in Washington, which is the very peak corner of the country. Have you been living in the same area?
I was born at the hospital I work at. Lived in Whatcom County my whole life.
And she works at the Peace Health Medical Hospital at St. Joseph Hospital.
Peace Health St. Joe's Medical Center.
Thank you. There's a bit of confusion because I was actually born in St. Joseph, Missouri.
Okay.
So there's a bit of a communication breakdown when I tell my parents of where my partner Nadia works. And they're like, wait, what? But
there's more than one.
Yeah.
There's another St. Joseph in Tacoma, Washington, I believe, as well.
And she works in behavioral health, which is great. We can always use more behavioral health helpers out there. We appreciate what she does.
Thank you.
And so I guess like photography is more of your hobby then?
Yes.
Or in my case, sometimes an expensive
time.
hobby.
Time or energy, actually.
Yeah. And I'm kind of jealous that you've lived here for all your life because for somebody, so I grew up in the Midwest, Kansas City, where there's few, I think the closest national park is either 8 hours in Arkansas or you had to drive maybe 8-10 hours to the Rocky Mountains across Kansas or Nebraska. So I'm very envious of that, especially since I moved out here, which is everything is beautiful. Like you can go an hour any direction and there's like at least a national forest or a national park. And yeah, I was very envious of that and very glad that I moved out here.
Yeah, living here, I don't even know which ones are national or state. It's just Washington. For me.
Yeah, I had to because so I do a video as well, and I have a drone as well, so I had to look at which parks are what's national, what's not state.
Yeah.
And I think it's a crazy part for me too, like the permits for the national forests and parks are much easier to obtain than the state parks in Washington.
I didn't know that.
Yeah. So we have this segment called "Where Have You Been?" for as a traveler. So as travelers, we always ask each other, "Where have you been?" So what's been going on in your life lately?
Lately, I've just been working.
Yeah.
I haven't gone much of anywhere. The last place I went was down to Oregon.
Oh, nice.
For Multnomah Falls. Again. Been there many times. My brother lives about 30 minutes from there.
I've only discovered that place probably within the last 6 months. It's one of those just weird YouTube, or not YouTube, but Instagram reels where it's like, this place just has waterfalls and it blows up and it's like these amazing landscape stuff, and that's
Yeah.
one of the locations I found,
Yes.
and it's definitely on my map to like. Okay, I have
There's
to.
a lot.
There. How's your springtime? Do you get much allergies or?
I do get
This time.
allergies.
Yeah.
Yeah. So it depends on the weather. If we get a lot of back and forth between rainy and sunny, my allergies act up a lot more. But then when it levels out, my allergies level out. So
It's kind of a double-edged sword because
Yeah.
I feel like this time of year is like perfect time for photographers to take pictures because all the flowers are blooming. Cherry blossoms is a big thing, and allergies.
yeah.
It's horrible. Like for me, it's like my body parts will swell up, my eyes would burn. Middle of the day or nighttime, I'll call these allergy tears, where it's just like I'll just be crying and like I had to have like blot my eyes out.
Yes. My
Yeah.
eyes are watering right now, actually.
Yeah.
But
And again, this is a perfect time for pictures. Like a lot of parks will have like flowers blooming. Tulip season is here. If you go to a county south of us, which I think will air the Tulip Festival episode actually after this episode is being featured.
it's here every year.
But and also we have another segment called tips for travelers. So I guess our tip for the day is like what do you deal with the anxiety of travel is one of the tips. Because on the podcast we talk about like we try to encourage new travelers or new people to travel to go out to see places and do stuff. And growing up for me, it's like one of the biggest things reason why I didn't travel as much is my anxiety of like, I can't go here because I'll give some reason for it. And the reason that the stuff I kind of combat with is like, I just kind of just did it. Like, kind of like, all right, I have to do this because as soon as I start doing it, it'll be fine. But I always find like doubts. Do you have any anxiety for traveling or?
I just don't like traffic.
Traffic is a
So I try to avoid it. I have even looked up what times are the peak traffic times for certain areas so that I can leave earlier or later to avoid those. I do not like being stuck in traffic.
So what part of the time of the day is this like traffic during the like at the parks or if you're going to a location like say
Driving traffic.
like going to Oregon, the worst part of traffic is going through Seattle, which is
Seattle, Tacoma, and Olympia are all really bad.
yeah.
So if I'm going on a weekend, I leave. It doesn't really matter when I leave. I try to leave by 8 in the morning. But the weekend traffic's not bad. But if I am going down during the week, then I don't leave my house until 9. Because then you miss all of the rush hour traffic in all 3 of those cities.
Yeah. And has that been working out for you?
Oh, it works out well.
Okay.
I have that down. My brother lives down there, so we drive down a lot to visit.
Nice.
And I have worked it out.
So you leave there about 9 a.m. in the morning and get there probably around 11?
It's 4 hours, so
4
yeah.
hours? Okay. Yeah, it is 4 hours.
Yep.
So it'd be
It'd be 12.
Be 12, 1 o'clock. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. And I always found Seattle a really interesting location because it's very trafficy. I don't know if it's just me or just my luck, but I always feel like it's more trafficy outside of downtown Seattle than in Seattle itself. For me, I don't know if that's.
It just depends on when you're there.
Yeah.
If you hit that morning traffic during the week, you're sitting still.
There would be times we went to Mount Rainier, and we'll go after my Naughty gets off work. And so it's like, we get there probably like around 4 or 5 or 3, and like we try to go around or use the GPS to get us to go where we need to be, but it's always like the worst spots it gives us. And it's just like, it goes to a snail. It's probably, like I used to live in Los Angeles for about a few years, and it gets to that point where it's just like, you're just inching along.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I couldn't handle that.
So yeah, so
I'd have to go early on the weekend.
yeah. So traffic is kind of your big anxiety and stuff like that.
Yeah.
Did it ever Harper, did it ever discourage you at first to travel? Or did you just kind of like, well,
No, I never used to have that anxiety.
Yeah.
I think as I've gotten older, and there's been more traffic.
Yeah.
It's definitely grown on me. I mean, I was driving down to Seattle and hanging out at Pike's Place Market when I was 16. And now I'm like, yeah, no, I don't want to go there at all. There's too many people.
I think that comes with age too. As I
Yeah.
get older, I'm like, it's like, I don't know if I could deal with that at the traveling or the traffic part of it. I think if I'm younger, I'm like, oh, I'll get there when I get there.
Yeah, when I was younger, it didn't matter. We didn't have maps or anything. I just followed street signs and we got there eventually.
And yeah, it's definitely seen more people now. And especially like more people moving into Washington, including me. I'm one of those people as well.
You're one of those people.
Yeah, I'm one of the outsider people. But yeah, it's definitely like more people as well in a lot more cities and trafficy and stuff like that. So one of your passions is camping and outdoor stuff. Do you ever separate that from photography, or is it you kind of blend the two together?
I kind of blend the two together. I mean, we don't go camping very often, but I will definitely take some time out to do a little photography and be by myself for a while.
Nice.
That's what I prefer.
What's the furthest place you've camped? I guess like, or the furthest place away?
It's all been in Washington, so I didn't grow up camping. My mom was not a camper, so going camping, it was just with my aunt sometimes, and they would always go in like Birch Bay. But as a kid, that drive from Bellingham to Birch Bay felt like an eternity, but it really wasn't. But I actually haven't been camping outside of Bellingham or outside of Whatcom County because there's so many places to camp here. You don't have to go far.
Oh, it's true. Like yeah, I mean, the closest national forest here is Baker or Artist Point.
Yeah.
And
It's an hour and a half.
yeah, and stuff. And there's lots of state parks here too. And Whatcom has its own park system as well.
Yeah, and you have Larrabee State Park.
Yeah, Larrabee. Oh yeah,
It's
Larrabee.
gorgeous.
Larrabee itself. It's like its own small area, which is interesting because it's like if you've been to Washington, Larrabee is kind of like the big. I don't know if it's a mountain range or a mountain that kind of divides Bellingham to almost like Skagit Valley a little bit, and there's a lot of like, and the roads kind of like fork around it a little bit. You got your 5 that goes one side close to inland, and there's another road that goes around the coastline, which is really beautiful and great to see if you travel from Seattle to Vancouver. It's a great sight to see to kind of get that Pacific Northwest feel. But that area is gorgeous, and there's tons of stuff. We've been to a few hiking trails, and I feel like we've only like
There's so many.
yeah.
I haven't been on them all. Not even close.
So what's your essentials stuff that you bring along for camping? Like you must haves. Like if I'm going camping, I need to have at least this to feel somewhat comfortable.
I have to have a queen size air mattress. I don't sleep on the ground anymore. But I'm graduating from that. Now I think I just need a 5th wheel because I want to be very comfortable when camping. I don't want all the work of the air mattress and the tent, and I'd rather pull up and hug up and be comfy.
Yeah, I don't blame you for that.
I've earned it.
Do you have any bucket list places that you want to take pictures of?
So many.
What,
I mean, a lot of the national parks, of course.
what's your big national park list? Like if you have a top 3 list, like, I feel like I need to.
I mean, Yellowstone. I've never been to any of those. Is a big one. What's that one in California? Yosemite?
Oh,
I haven't been there
yes,
yet.
yeah.
And I guess the other one that's next to Yellowstone. which I forget the name of it.
Oh, I don't.
Because I'm really bad with names.
Yeah, I forgot what that one's called too. There's I don't know. I can't remember. I've been to Yellowstone, and it's gorgeous. You need like almost a week there just to see a lot of it actually.
Yeah.
And I wasn't. It's funny because like growing up, I thought Yellowstone was kind of overrated a little bit for me, just from the stories and stuff like that. And then I got photography, saw some pictures. Like this might seem interesting. We saw it on the way here, road tripping from when we moved out here to Washington. We just road trip, saw some parks along the way because why not?
Right.
We were
You're
kind
driving through, you might as well.
We were kind of homeless at the time too because we're just going to Washington to sign our lease to our place to rent. And got there, and I really wanted Yellowstone a lot because of the wildlife. I was like, oh, here's a chance to do some wildlife photography and all this other stuff too. I got there, it's massive. Like the whole park is a state pretty much. Like
Yeah.
it took us about 8.5 hours to go around like 3/4 of the way and haven't made the whole loop for it. And we barely scratch the surface of what we can see there. It's amazing. I recommend anyone go to Yellowstone because it's amazing and spend a few days there to explore. So
At least a few days.
at least, yeah. And we only saw like a buffalo and some reindeer. But the buffalo, as you drive in, we drove in from the east side, East Gate, and there's in the morning times buffalo walk on the highways on the opposite direction too, which is nice. And I got a picture I'm really proud of, but it's like you see it, I had my camera zoomed out completely, which is a 24 lens zoom out, and all I could got was his face, and that's how close it was to the vehicle.
And they're not small. They're big.
No. and the other thing with Yellowstone too is like if you ever go there, it's like there's tons of signs that will say this, like, we're here to monitor and watch out for the animals. We're not here to watch out for you. So if you decide to get hurt by one of these animals or worse, it's your fault.
It 100% is. They're wild. They keep them that way.
So you send me Yellowstone and the other one, I'm trying to think of what it's called. There's Glacier, which is in Montana.
It is. That's on my list of places to go.
That's on my list.
Alaska.
Alaska would be nice.
Ireland. It's not here, but it's on the list.
I mean, yeah.
There's a lot of places on the list.
We recommend international travel as well.
Ireland's my top choice.
Someone who's been to Ireland and if you saw the first episode of this, you hear something about it. Ireland's beautiful. Ireland's almost like has the same weather as Washington, but the people are more friendlier there. And not saying that's not a knock on Washington. It's just like Irish people, customer service and friendliness is the top tier of anywhere I've been to. They're super nice, very friendly. It's like stereotypical of like small town person of like what you think they would act like. The Irish people are like, that's who they are all the time.
Yeah, the Seattle freeze is real.
Yeah.
Those of us not from Seattle prefer to call it Washington freeze. We know we're not nice. It's okay.
So let's talk about some of your photography backgrounds. You started in photography. Was Sears your gateway into photography?
I've always had an interest in it since high school, and I took a couple cool things, with our film cameras back then, but I never got into it more seriously until after that.
So did you take classes for film photography then?
No. YouTube University.
Okay.
I've learned everything on my own. So I have to be interested in it to learn each skill because I don't have the attention span to sit in a class. I will tune it out and not learn anything. So it has to be something I'm really interested in so that I will pay attention and learn it.
That's amazing. I tried to get into film photography, but the school I went to, you had to have like a bunch of prereqs that had nothing to do with photography.
Right.
So I just didn't do it. I was like, well, I'm just going to learn later, and I never did. I came in through a digital video, and I transitioned to digital film. So, what was your first camera did you ever got?
It was like a Canon T2i. I think that's what it was.
Yeah. I love the
I don't know, it was like 12 megapixels. It was
yeah.
not great.
I would say like the T. I always recommend like the T series as a good beginner's camera because like I've used it for a bunch of backup stuff before, and they some stuff turned out pretty good for what it was.
I did send you one photo that was taken with that camera.
Which one was it?
That is the black and white tiger.
Really?
Yep.
Oh, so yeah, she has a black and white tiger, Siberian tiger.
It's a white tiger, yeah.
Okay.
Oh no, I took it in Vegas.
Oh, I can't wait to talk about that because I saw that. But I forgot.
My favorite.
Yeah, I think my old camera had sensor burned out because I took too many pictures of that. That's what happens. And we went to Iceland, and I had my T3 series. T3i is what I had, and it worked out actually pretty good for what I needed it for. And also they're not that expensive just compared to other cameras. So like the fear of like breaking it, it's like, well, if it breaks, I just get a new one.
Yeah, I didn't pay very much for it.
But so you started out with kind of in film. How many years before you started doing people photography or portraits?
I don't know, my son was probably 4 or 5 when that happened, so that was probably 20 years ago, actually.
Oh, wow.
It's a long time ago. It all blends together.
Oh, it does. So you worked at Sears as portrait family photography. How was that experience?
Exhausting. People don't listen and set appointments for a good time for their children. So then you have cranky kids that you have to try to make smile. So it's very challenging, actually, and made me not really want to do pictures with people. I just prefer being out in nature by myself, not with people.
Yeah. And that's understandable, too. I mean, nature, you can have the option of being with people or not. Did you thought about doing more people photography, portraits, going into photography, or you kind of like see what's
I did
like?
think about it. I thought about doing weddings at one point. I did one wedding. That was enough for me.
Yeah.
It's a lot of work. It actually ended up ruining a friendship. We are no longer friends. So the pictures were good.
Yeah.
But
no, I've had some
there was
relationships with weddings and people that didn't end great because it's like, I think like people don't understand with portraits and wedding stuff or the pictures that involve the people that handling, like doing the actual picture itself is probably like maybe 40% of the job maybe. And the other 60% is like management. Like you're managing the people to be on time. You're managing their time, money, and like all this other stuff that you just don't want to focus on. You just want to take good pictures.
Right.
And then there's people that out there that's like very demanding or not so great or get strange and weird about stuff.
Or they don't want to sit for the pictures.
Oh yeah. It's
that
just
was
like
a big issue.
Yeah. Like some people just like, just take the pictures and like, if they're not going to turn out great. And then they, at the end of it, their complaints like, well, these pictures are not that great. It's like, yeah, I mean, I told you.
Yeah, the complaint was they didn't have enough of the things they wanted. And I'm like, because you wouldn't hold still. So, is what it is.
It is. I mean, I had to make rules. I mean, unfair rules for people who did treat me nice about stuff that I was strict with. That, I mean, I was like, I'm sorry, like, I got burned from this in the past. Like, I had to do it this way, despite of what your intentions are. So,
yep.
Yeah, I understand that. Like, I'm exhausted after a wedding or dealing with people, and I enjoy it. Like, I love the interactions. I love the process of the creative process of it, of getting something good together, and see their faces and their interactions of the final product. But like the toll of like the negative side of it is big, too.
It is. I will do family photos for personal friends, but I won't do any big events that they have. And
Yeah.
I don't do family photos for people I don't know either because I prefer nature. I don't want to be doing only people pictures.
Yeah. Good thing about nature and landscape is it's always on time.
It's my time.
It's your time.
It's my time.
The only time
It's my favorite time.
The only time that matters and it really puts a hamper is the weather sometimes,
Yes.
or traffic in the park. Or,
I've even taken an umbrella with me to set up underneath it.
so what kind of camera do you use now?
I currently have a Canon 90D.
Right.
I'm very happy with it. I wouldn't say that it's probably considered professional camera. It's not full frame, but I'm not sure I want to go full frame.
So
I
full-
like it though.
full frame's nice. So I know a lot of photographers love the full frame, and there's some benefits of it too, but you still have to, if you have your stuff printed out or you post on a website, you still have to have it in a good ratio for it to be posted into. Because I did full frame stuff too, but when I do these prints, which were in my studio and behind Angels, a couple of my photographs, I still had to frame it, like put in the same aspect ratio that was given to me. So I'm still cutting parts of my picture out
Right.
too. So there's some pros and cons with it. I think some people are like, yeah, I like it. And other people are, I'm kind of this people that's like, yeah, it doesn't really matter. I'm more into the megapixels. Like how many megapixels can it?
Sure.
Like if I could blow this into a billboard, I'll be pretty happy with it.
I have 32 on my camera.
Nice.
It's not bad.
No. And do you use a lot of zoom lenses or prime lenses or?
I've always been a zoom lens. I don't like having to change lenses or move. I'm not a mover. The newest lens I got it for just walking around. And it's a Tamron, like, it's 18 to 400. And it's pretty darn sharp. I mean, it's pretty good. I mean, if you get to the 400, it's not as sharp, but it's pretty good. I was honestly surprised. It was better than my Canon zoom lens that I had.
Really?
Yeah.
Now, are you a type person is Canon versus Nikon, or does that really
I'm a
matter?
Canon girl.
Nice. There's a few people. I mean, I feel like a lot of people are like that. Canon versus Nikon. I think for me, it's like I got into video. It's like whatever works, and then like afterwards, like I don't want to switch cameras because I don't want to buy new lenses.
Exactly.
Because that's the lenses is the deal breaker for me of like switching cameras or a different brand because I spend too much money on those, and
I try not to do that.
yeah, and with lenses too. If you have a good lens, it'll last forever unless if you break it or something happens to it. But that stuff doesn't go bad at all.
True.
So what got you into nature and landscape photography?
I've just always enjoyed being out in nature. I guess it just kind of came naturally. I just started doing it. That first, I guess, animal picture that I really took in Vegas that I really liked, I just kind of went from there.
Nice.
So.
And we'll get to that animal picture because I have a bunch of questions for that.
Okay.
So was there anything inspired you before that, like movies, music, other pictures from, let's say, National Geographic or anything like that, that made you like, oh, this is something I might be into?
Nothing specific. It's just something I've always enjoyed doing.
Okay.
Just growing up here.
Oh, yeah.
It's just kind of natural. Like, you want to be out in nature.
It's true. Growing up here I would say you'd be pretty spoiled from all the nature and landscapes and stuff like that. It's like, oh, this is my life. Especially somewhere from the Midwest where you wake up, it's flat and corn everywhere. I'm like, I looked at these National Geographic pictures or like, some movies kind of inspired me too. I'm like, oh, it's like, it'd be nice to see some mountains one day, you know?
I mean, growing up here, though, you get spoiled and you want to see other things that aren't here because you've done it a million times.
What's the big thing that when you left Washington, what was the big thing you saw that was like, oh, this is surprising or this is kind of eye-dropping?
I think the first time I was surprised at different landscapes when we went to New Mexico, and they had rock lawns, and it was very deserty, which is not up here.
Yeah.
And that was really the first time outside of anything green and mountainous that I had been. And I found it really fascinating, and I'm like, I want to see other stuff that's not all perfect and lush, but now I'm into the waterfalls, and I really like the lush. So
Yeah, I feel like we mentioned this before we started recording that I feel like every photographer has like a niche for waterfalls. Like waterfalls, oh, I have to take a picture of this.
yeah, I'm definitely I've been in a waterfall phase for actually a few years. I keep going back to the same waterfalls and reshooting them because I'm like, I can do that better.
Do you ever find yourself like have some habits in your photography that you didn't realize before?
I'm very impatient with tripods. And sometimes I will set my camera to a half a second because I can hold it still long enough to get a long exposure without having to do a tripod. And then sometimes I just set it up because I want it to be even better. So
I've been in that circumstances before where it's like, oh, I don't want to take my tripod out, or I forgot it because I forgot my, I forgot what they're called now. My thing attached to my camera to the tripod. Or
yeah,
forget that. I'm like, all right, would this rock be fine if I just don't breathe for for 3 seconds?
half a second. You can do it for half a second. It's the longest I can. Any longer than that, it's not going to turn out well.
The habit that I found out from my pictures is like I tend, and not on purpose, but I've realized I take a lot of water stuff pictures, which is like I think I'm more drawn to that. If you look around in this room too, it's like it's like water, water, water. Even the ones we painted here, it's like our landscape paintings.
Still water.
Water, yeah. So that's kind of my habit. I'm trying to like do something a little different. And like you mentioned the desert part, I've been to New Mexico to the sand dunes, which if you've been there before,
just Albuquerque.
Yeah, but if you ever go back to sand dunes, is like it's weirdly cool because it's like it's almost has the same texture visually as I would say like a snowy mountain like Baker, with just covered in snow, but it's just sand and it's like you can see
cool.
the kind of the rocky background too. And that's a pretty cool sight to see.
Utah has some cool stuff.
Oh, Utah's amazing. Utah is one.
It's another one on the list.
I would say Washington. I would say the Pacific Northwest is really great for stuff, but there's something about Utah where it's almost divided into like great rocky desert. You got Zion there too, and then you got this northern side, which is like kind of more green, but not as lush as here in the Pacific Northwest. But you get the nice mountains in Salt Lake City, and it's a really unique state.
It's really pretty.
And it's a state that you can easily get lost and stranded in.
Well, I try to not do that.
There's a spot from when I lived to Los Angeles, from traveling from Kansas City to LA, there's about like a 2-hour spot where it's like no phone service, no radio. And then if you do get radio, you might get one station playing, and it's that or silent for a couple hours. So I'm like, oh, I don't want to be stuck here.
No. Especially not if you're lost.
Especially. So over the course of, I would say you're probably doing landscape nature for about 10 years then?
At least, yeah.
What kind of evolution have you seen in your own photography skills from when you started to where you are now?
Things have gotten a lot clearer.
Yeah.
I didn't used to pay as much attention, if the wind was blowing and you end up with blurry leaves or something. That's something I notice now. Looking back on some of my sunsets recently, I noticed that there was some water spots and things I didn't notice before.
Yeah.
And I'm much more critical of those things now and try to avoid them.
Now, your newer pictures that you sent me was more overexposure pictures. Now, have you always done more overexposure pictures or tried to?
Yeah, it's mainly just for me and the way I want it to look kind of thing. It's more like not necessarily how it actually looked, but yeah, just more artistic, I guess.
Yeah. How long did it take you to really find like that good niche for it to do it when you're on, I guess, on set?
It's always changing.
Yeah.
Yeah. Something I thought looked good a couple of years ago, I don't think looks good now.
Yeah.
So.
It's crazy how that works. Like, you're like, oh, I'm really proud of this picture. And then, like, after years or months, you look back, it's like, oh, it's like, I can see where I can be a little better.
Yeah. Well, I think I need to upgrade my laptop too. So I've been having an issue with that. Things are coming out darker than I want them to.
Yeah.
And so I tend to overcompensate a bit so they look good on there, but then it doesn't always translate.
Now, is it the laptop or is it just is it the laptop making it darker or is it the images itself being darker as well?
I'm not sure which, because they look great on my camera.
Yeah.
And they look, I don't know. They look fine until I upload them to Facebook or something. And then they're much darker.
Really?
Yeah.
That's strange.
I don't know why. Maybe it's the different new technology, because if anything on my phone doesn't do that.
Yeah. Because, like, I would have it, like, I used to have a laptop that was kind of older where the images were darker on the laptop. But if I export them out to a disk, it was a little brighter, so I had to compensate it a little bit to do that.
That's the opposite issue.
Oh, that's
I don't understand it, so.
Yeah, it must be like the image of your monitor might be off or something like that.
Yeah, and I've tried to play with it, and I've decreased the brightness on the monitor, all kinds of things.
Yeah.
So yeah, eventually let's get a new one.
I have that issue with video too with my editing software, that it's not a smooth motion. It's kind of a little janky a little bit, but once you export it out, it's completely smooth. But I'm hoping that it looks fine, or like there's not like a little hiccup here and there because I'm going by fate. Like, oh, this is gonna be fine. I'm hoping. So what tips would you give to yourself, or tips for newer photographers who are getting into more nature landscape stuff?
Learn everything you can about it, if it's, and do it well. Pick a certain subject, know your camera. I don't even know my camera. I need to know it better. I can do things on it, but I lose interest, so.
How do you learn it? I mean, how did you teach yourself?
I watched YouTube videos.
Yeah, YouTube's great.
YouTube University. That's how we learned how to fix the washer too.
Any YouTube videos or channels that you would recommend, or just kind of like just browse what you?
I'd have to remember his name. There's a guy in Oregon that I watch. I started watching him because he does a lot of Oregon nature things. I don't remember his name. I'll have to get that for you.
That's fine.
But
we'll just put it on later in post.
He does some really cool stuff. I was kind of researching for my Oregon coast trip that I took a couple years ago. And so I started watching him on places to go.
Nice. Now, would you recommend a certain lens for photographers to kind of lead yourself into for landscape, or does it really matter?
I mean, something that's, a wide angle is generally best for a landscape.
Yeah.
But I like my zoom lenses, so I do actually have a 10-16 wide angle zoom, but with my newest one, I mean, I can do everything with it.
I want a 10-16 wide. That's one of my list of things to.
It's not a $2,000 lens, that's for sure. Granted, it's on my list of things eventually someday. but I'm not there yet.
Do you ever take, I never wrote this down, but I'm asking because I'm trying to do this. Do you ever take landscape, nature, aquatic pictures before or try to? Like whales or sea lions or?
No.
No?
I've not tried that, no.
Okay. I've attempted it once. We went on a whale watching tour, or tried to. And I brought my camera. I brought a tripod too, which is funny enough because I typically don't. I was like super responsible, super like, oh, I got this down in case something happens. Pop it, take a picture of a whale or sea life. I never count the waves on a boat.
Yeah.
So it was, and
Tripod won't help you there.
it does not. And like it wasn't a large boat too, because like I think in movies and TV shows they show you like these big boats, like pre-stable, wide, and people are having their pictures on taking, and that's how I visualized it. But it's like a really small boat where it's just like it's tiny and very bumpy and cold too. So I'm like shivering as well.
It is cold here.
And we did it in it was March, so before the peak season of the San Juan Islands. But yeah, I was kind of curious about that because it's like I wonder if anyone else has tips for that for me.
No, I have never been. I would like to go on one.
Now, outside landscape or nature, is there anything else you kind of flirt with? Like, I'll be kind of interested to take pictures of this, or is it kind of mostly that?
No, it's, nature. I don't like people in my pictures.
Okay.
So even the nature ones I see, and you've got like that one random person on a mountain, for me, that ruins the picture.
Really? So no people?
Because that's where all my focus goes, and I don't see any of the beauty that they're looking at.
I see. So any person in your picture is a no-go then?
It's a no-go.
Yeah. Do you ever,
unless I'm doing a family picture,
yeah,
it's a no-go.
That makes sense. So
I don't do the Instagram shots, on the edge of a cliff. You're just going to see the cliff in my stuff.
Yeah.
No people.
So do you ever Photoshop them out, or just make sure there's no one on site?
I try to make sure there's nobody there because I don't like Photoshopping them out.
Yeah.
So, but occasionally you have to. Like with Multnomah Falls, people are always up on that bridge.
Yeah. And it's tough sometimes. Even try to Photoshop them out, or just try to find like a clearing of, like, for me it's like trying to find a good clearing or waiting for people to clear it out so you take a picture. I'm always annoyed about the person. There's always like one person that you wait and they just watching you wait for people to clear out, and then as soon as people clear out, they just like cut in front of you. I'm like can you just wait for like?
I've only been here for 10 minutes waiting for people to move.
And you're seeing me for the 10 minutes because
it's frustrating.
So DSLR cameras versus phones. What's the pros and cons in your opinion for those? Especially the
phones
new
are getting pretty good.
Yeah.
So my camera phone has more megapixels than my DSLR.
Yeah.
But I still think, well, actually this phone's new. I haven't really tried out the camera yet.
What kind of phone?
It's a Samsung 22 Ultra.
Oh, nice.
The 23 really downgraded the selfie camera, so I was like, no. But my LG, I had an LG V60, which also had a great camera, and I could do really nice things on that too. But it's still not quite my DSLR. I prefer that.
Yeah.
But if I don't have it, my phone camera is pretty good in a pinch.
Yeah.
If I want to catch something, so.
So, have you ever used your camera phone for anything, for any of the pictures?
I've done stuff that I've posted on my group, but not anything serious. Because if I'm planning on going out, I'm going to have my Canon with me.
Yeah. Do you print any of your stuff?
Yes, I've printed some stuff.
Do you ever use your phone pictures to print?
I have not.
Okay. I haven't either. Nadia has iPhone, I think 13 Pro, which is like, it's super nice. I'm irritated and jealous at the same time for it because it's like the stuff that it does on the camera phones now, the stuff they can do on it, it's much more advanced than I can do on my DSLR camera, and I have a pretty nice camera too. So there's times with that, so I get frustrated with it because it's the automatic part of it that can just look at a location, press it, record, or snap picture, and everything in the picture is focus.
Yeah.
And you don't have to worry about like the ISO or the f-stop. You don't have to worry about like
Any
shutter
of the
speed.
manual things.
Yeah. And like I love doing that stuff. I love to manual to tinker with my pictures, stuff like that. But there's times where it's like if the moment's right, I just want to like take a picture of it.
You want it to be a little easier than it is.
Yeah, or just nicer, the final product.
Yeah, that's true. Apparently this phone can take pictures of the moon, which I cannot do with my Canon. I don't have a lens for that, and I know it.
No, I would have to cheat. Like I would have to get a good clear picture and then crop it. There's an eclipse picture in this house somewhere, and that's what I did. It's just like we were in the I forgot what zone it is, but the eclipse happened in 2017, 18, but we were like in the perfect spot in the country for it. It happens to be fine over our house. And it's cloudy, but it just cleared up enough for it to be in that corona shape.
Oh, yeah.
Took a picture of it, the picture focus, and I had to crop it, like, to get a decent looking picture of it that doesn't look like a tiny dot.
Right.
The picture.
Yes. I haven't tried the moon pictures yet, but I've seen other people do it. I'm going to try it eventually.
Yeah, I'm curious to see what that works out. Okay, so we're going to talk about some of your photographs. I'm excited for this. We're going to start with the animals. Since we talked about the tiger one, so the black and white tiger one, I can see on this picture. So this was done in Vegas, right?
Yeah.
So where was this at?
At the Mirage.
Really?
Yeah. So there was I got very lucky. I had no idea what I was doing when I took that.
Yeah.
I got very lucky, and I actually focused it through the cage and turned it black and white.
So the cage,
It was during the middle of the day at the Mirage. I forget, the Secret Garden, I think is what it's called. And they've got a bunch of
nice
tigers and everything out
So
there.
the cage, I've never been there, so like.
Oh, they have dolphins. That's why I went. I'm obsessed with dolphins. And the white tigers were a bonus. I didn't get any good dolphin pictures.
Oh, that's unfortunate. But this picture of the tiger.
But I got that one. That is my favorite.
And you did it with the T3 series.
It's like a T2I, yeah.
Oh, T2I, yeah.
Yeah. Might have even been the one before that I don't remember the name.
Probably the T1I.
Yeah, I'm not sure. It was a long time ago.
So was the cage a kind of I guess like a clear, I don't want to say plastic. What's that?
No.
Clear cage, or is it kind of bar?
No, it was like the chain link fences.
Really?
Yeah.
Okay, that's really nice. And did you just happen to get the picture to avoid the chain link then, or just like?
Yeah, I somehow managed to actually focus through it.
Really?
Which pretty much made the chain link disappear. And then when I turned it black and white, I was able to just edit over the slight little marks that were still there.
Nice, because you can tell on the picture, it looks like the tiger is on a stage, pretty much.
Yeah.
It's just like posing, which is great.
He was not, or she, I'm not sure.
Yeah.
She.
So,
It's a pretty kitty.
I'm not a big component of zoos. Like animals can in cages, stuff like that. I know like the pros and cons for it, like for endangered species and stuff like that. But as a photographer, to learn how to take animal pictures, zoos are a pretty great spot for it because the animals are there, and you still have to kind of configure and pose and use the lighting to your discretion to get great pictures and stuff like this, which is good practice to use.
Yeah, I got very lucky on that.
Yeah.
I had no idea what I was doing at all.
Now, what's your philosophy of like the ratio of pictures? Some photographers are like, if I take 100 pictures and I only need one good one to be considered a success. Do you have that same mindset, or?
I mean, I just do it for me and for
Yeah.
what I like. So if other people like it, cool. And if not, I'm still going to do it for me.
Nice.
This is something I enjoy. So
this color tiger picture, was this from?
that is from the Woodland Park Zoo in Seattle.
Nice. Oh, I'm happy for you for this picture, but also mad because I went to the same zoo and I never got a single pose close enough for this.
I waited for him to come back. He was pacing way in the background. And it was almost feeding time, though, because it was getting in the afternoon. And so as soon as he heard the keeper, he came right back down that path, and I'd been sitting waiting, and I just shot.
How long did you wait?
At least 15, 20 minutes. Not like a ton of time, but
That's
my
not-
son was very much ready to go.
Yeah, I mean, 15, 20 minutes is, I mean, I guess out of the day is not a long time, but the sitting and waiting, and that's 20
I
minutes is a
just
long
sat
time.
there next to the glass just waiting.
That's good. It's a good picture and pose and everything. And then we got chimps.
Oh, yeah, they were there too.
Yeah.
They just said they were having fun.
Chimps and gorillas are one of my favorite things. They're not considered my favorite animals per se. I guess if I had to make a list of my favorites, but monkeys or primates and gorillas are like one of my favorites because there's such a human nature of their body language a lot of times.
Yeah, it was just cute how they were wrestling and everything, and they just look like they're falling back, laughing, having a great time.
And this is at the Woodland Zoo
Yeah,
as well.
it was the same day I took the tiger.
Nice. This one is at Artist Point, right?
Yeah, it's Picture Lake.
Nice. So is that what it's called?
Yeah.
Oh, I didn't
There's
know.
actually 2 lakes. The first one that you come to is the one I always thought was Picture Lake.
Okay.
And then somebody actually told me how to get to the real Picture Lake, which is just further up, and you just park on the side of the road.
Okay.
And then you have to go down the trail. You can't actually see it from the road, apparently. Or I never noticed it, I guess. Or
Huh.
maybe you can.
Maybe. Yeah.
I would get out at the first one. And you can get a similar photo from the first one as well. But
Yeah.
it's definitely different.
And what mountain is this? Do you know?
It's Mount Shuckson.
Okay. Nice. I've took that picture a few times. It's in this house somewhere of it. But yeah, it's a great page. And Artist Point is a great spot for pictures. What place, like, what's there that you would recommend of going? If you
Just
had
exploring Artist Point in general.
Yeah.
There's so many different trails that you can explore up there.
Yeah.
There's easy ones, there's hard ones. Is it an 8-mile hike? If you start at Artist Point, you end up in the lower parking lot. Did that in high school. That was fun.
We do that once a year.
Yeah, I don't do that anymore. The best part was sledding down the snow. You have to go early enough to where there's still snow on that one part of the hike so that you can go sliding down it.
Oh,
That
that'd
is
be a
the
lot of
best
fun.
part. And it's only like maybe a mile or 2 in, and you've got that big down before you get to the lakes.
Yeah.
If you go in July, there should still be snow there.
Yeah, I mean, we go there.
Early
We go
July.
there end of August, and there's chunks of snow still.
Oh yeah, but if you want to go sledding,
Oh, sledding. Okay.
down that hill when you're hiking, you've got to do it in July.
Oh man, that'd be a lot of fun. So, what's your main highlight there in Artist Point? Is there not really much of a big highlight? It's all one
It's
big.
just, it's all of it.
Yeah. Yes.
There's no highlight. I've been up there multiple times, and I always come back with different pictures. None of it's ever the same.
Nice. How many clear days did you see Baker on those days?
Oh, it's normally in the summer when I go up, so
Yeah.
it's always sunny generally.
Yeah, that's like for us. We've been there 4 times, and then on the 5th time is we finally found a clear day in Baker. It's been cloudy or drizzly or rainy, typical Washington weather for us.
I mean, that does happen, yeah.
Or
July is usually pretty good.
Or we get there where it's clear day and it's like, oh, this will be perfect. Hiking on the Lake Chain hiking trail, the one.
Chain Lakes.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Once we get to the top, it became cloudy again. So
it happens. July is a really good time to go. August, the weather starts changing more up there.
yes,
Something I've noticed. If you can get up there in the fall before it snows and they close the road,
yeah.
you can get some really good fall colors.
Oh, that'd be nice.
It's really awesome. I managed to do that once.
Nice. Have you explored more of that park area more so, or just kind of in that area? Because I've only been to Artist Point, and that's it on Mount Baker Road.
Oh, yeah, I haven't. I just drive all the way up there.
Nice. And then drive.
And drive back.
And when you drive back, drive
Yeah.
with everyone else back.
I will usually stop at Nooksack Falls either on the way up or the way down,
Nice.
but I haven't explored other turnoffs because I'm usually by myself and there's no cell service and I don't want to get lost.
And so the next picture, I guess I didn't describe it because this one part's audio, is kind of a luscious green picture over, is it a lake or a river?
It's actually a river.
River with the bridge.
I think it's a river. It's by, what's it called? It's down close to Vancouver, Washington. I think it's Molten Falls or something. Yeah, Colt Falls. There's like 3 different waterfalls up there on the river, and that was upriver before the waterfall.
I was very confused about Vancouver, Washington when I moved here. Because, like...
Yeah, there's 2.
Yeah, there's Vancouver, BC, which is... It's a half mile... not half a mile.
It's an hour.
It's half an hour from here for us if you pass the border.
Oh, yeah, you're in Blaine.
Yeah.
Like, it's an hour from Bellingham.
So, like, when we moved out here, it's like Vancouver, Washington. I'm like, no, Canada. And it's kind of a running joke for us for about the first year.
Yeah, it's a longer drive, for sure. But it's worth it.
Oh, but this is a great one. I like the reflection of it. The colors, the green, too. So, what time of year did you shot this at?
I think that one was spring.
Springtime?
Yeah. It might have been in the summer. It was one of the times I went to visit my brother.
And the next one, we have nice overexposure one of a river. Or is that kind of a partial waterfall?
That is one of the waterfalls in Oregon,
Okay.
down by Multnomah Falls. I forget the name of that one. But, I mean, there's so many of it. It's Wakena Falls, I believe. And it's not far from Multnomah. It's like 5-minute drive.
Okay.
They're really close. This is the lower portion. There's actually an upper portion that's more of like a horsetail
Yeah.
waterfall. But
Now, what time of the year would you recommend visiting there?
I mean, spring and fall when you're going to have more water flow.
Yeah.
In the summer, there's not as much. Because we went early fall this last year and there was not as much water flow because I did actually reshoot that one and I had less water flow than what's in that one. So
Yeah, we've kind of discovered the water flow here in Whatcom. I'm assuming you've been to Whatcom Falls.
oh yeah, I love Whatcom Falls.
So our first time there, we went to in the fall time, and here you get a lot of snow melted from the mountains, kind of rivers. It's like very full. All the rivers, creeks are full, and the waterfalls are like big, massive, thundering water.
Yes, they are.
So I took a picture of it or a video of it, sent it to my parents, and they're like, if we're coming to visit you, you had to take us there. Well, they visit us in June, which is that a couple of years of that big heat wave we've had.
Oh, and it was like 115? Yeah.
They literally came from hot weather in the Midwest, which it gets that hot there. And we always tell them, like, oh, it's nice. Washington's beautiful, very timid. Like 80 degrees is like peak heat. Came here for that heat wave. And we went
Now I know who the culprits are that brought us 115 that year.
Yeah. We're not
That's
talking
not
about
normal here.
We won't talk about the coldest weather we brought too. But we took to Whatcom Falls and we got, like, here's the waterfall. It was like a sliver, like a tinkle of water, like, you're like, it looks different from your pictures. Like, yeah.
It's definitely different.
But yeah, I think we might talk about more local Whatcom Falls in the podcast in the future. So, and our next picture is...
That is actually at Whatcom Falls.
This one?
Yeah.
Oh, I know the location of this too.
That is upriver from the main falls by the bridge. That's the only picture of that one I've ever taken that I liked.
I love the picture, the colors, and even the, as I describe it, it's a very river, waterfall, overexposure one, and then you get a great, like, texture of the water hitting the waterfall hitting the water.
Yeah.
of it. What time of the year? I mean, it's winter, obviously, because of the snow, but
It snowed. Yeah. It was just it was a few years ago when we happened to get a couple feet in Bellingham, and I happened to not have to work.
so you just went straight to the
I
park?
did. I went straight down
Oh,
there.
that's nice.
Because I drive a Jeep, so I wasn't worried about the hill
Yeah.
getting out of there. I have four-wheel drive. I'm good.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was no problem. And I was so excited to go down there because we've never I mean, normally when it snows, we don't get that much snow, and the water,
And then snow disappears
it
within
disappears quick with the water.
a day or so, too. So, I
Yes.
mean, that's impressive. Like, I kind of want to go there now just for
Yeah.
the snows.
I was very excited. Yeah, if it snows, go down there. I was excited. I spent the whole day down there.
And again, you can see most of these images if you check us out on YouTube. And that's our tiger one. And this one I saw before too, which is a gorgeous sunset. Was this one of your early sunset
Yeah,
ones?
it was my purple phase.
Nice.
I had this little purple lens that I
Oh,
put
nice.
on. I got some purple sunsets.
Great.
But yeah, very early.
And you stopped doing sunset pictures now?
No, I still like them. I just haven't done them recently.
Yeah.
I think there's just too many people, or places I used to go have gotten very popular,
Yeah.
and there's more people than I want to be around.
I see. Yeah.
Like Boulevard Park. They've really
Yeah.
made it very
That's-
accessible, and
Boulevard Park is notoriously busy
yeah,
any time of the day. And
it
that's,
used to be really peaceful and quiet and nice, and you didn't have the walking bridge from the hotel to the park.
yeah.
It was nice.
I go to Birch Bay, which is, you think it'd be Birch Bay, Rocky Beach area, one of the few like big beach areas in Whatcom. And there's hardly people there. I mean, you get like maybe a couple here or there on the beach, but usually it's not that busy.
Yeah, it's a lot less.
Yeah. And last year during the smoky season, you get some great
Oh, I bet.
pictures because it really makes the sun really red
Mm-hmm.
and doesn't distort your camera as well with the sensor.
Yeah.
So yeah, but like stuff like this, like I've always tried to get like the purple stuff too, which is amazing, and silhouette. And was this at Boulevard?
It's the next park down. I think it's Marine Park.
Marine Park. Okay. And this one, I just want to know where this was at.
That is Oregon Coast.
Nice.
It's called Silver Point Lookout, I
Okay.
believe. It's 10-15 minutes from Cannon Beach.
Really?
Yeah.
Which direction?
South.
Oh, I'm frustrated because I definitely.
It's literally just a lookout that you pull over at. There's a brick wall, retaining wall there.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, so this is kind of your typical Oregon coast picture of water, ocean water, great lighting, great clouds covering too, good atmosphere with it. And the funny thing is, we took a road trip we flew down to San Francisco, drove from San Francisco to Bellingham, went to Oregon, stopped at Rockaway Beach, which is maybe half an hour south of Cannon Beach, drove past this back and forth and completely missed it. There's a couple places that we did get, which was great, but I'm kind of frustrated that I missed this, because this is a great one.
Yep, that's one of my favorite spots. I actually went back. We did a one-day beach trip for my birthday last year to reshoot it.
Yeah,
And it was cloudy and crappy the whole day.
yeah.
It wasn't supposed to be, but it was.
Do you ever find difficulties of returning to a location to shoot, or
Yeah, the weather's not always
weather?
cooperative. So
Yeah.
it was supposed to be good, and then it changed. But I mean, Oregon weather does that. You've got the whole marine layer, so you're lucky if you can even get a sunset down there. There was no sunset that day. The marine layer killed it, so.
Nice.
But I had a great sunny
Nice
day the
one.
whole day, so I did get good stuff.
Do you ever pre-plan your trips for pictures, or you kind of go with the flow of
That one I did
Yeah.
because I had limited time. And so I had driven down to my brother's in Vancouver and then got up early the next morning and drove 4 hours. I think it was around 4 hours. I went down to the Sea Lion Caves and then drove back up the coast, stopping at the points that I wanted to stop at to take pictures. And then drove back over to Portland to my hotel.
Oh wow, that's a long drive too.
It was a long drive, but it was by myself. And I spent a lot of time out at Thor's Well waiting for the tide to come in.
Yeah, I think if people don't understand how the roads here in the Pacific Northwest is, like a lot of places don't have. There's like some main interstates at some places, but like from Oregon to Portland, it's just basic roads traveling. So it'll take you a few hours, even though doesn't seem that far.
Yeah.
To get to a location. I learned that. Okay, so so let's say you can plan a spot to take pictures from. What kind of scenarios that you would think would be perfect for you to set up, like lighting, time of day, weather-wise? Like, what would be your perfect?
I mean, I prefer during the day.
Yeah.
Honestly, I know they say like you've got the whole blue hour and everything, but unless I'm going after a sunset, I prefer shooting during the day just because I have the extra lighting. I don't use flashes or anything extra, so I'm kind of depending on the daylight because I'm like I can darken it if I need to.
Yeah.
So yeah, not cloudy. Well, sometimes cloudy. Sometimes cloudy is good. It just depends on what I'm going for. But yeah, the coast, I prefer the sunny day.
Yeah, this picture's great. Like the lighting and the clouds and everything. I don't like overcast, cloudy. I know it's like great for portraits and stuff like that, but for like landscapes, it's kind of.
That's what they say, but I prefer it to be brighter.
Yeah, but like clouds like this here, like you can see it and kind of gives you more atmospheric for the landscape is what I kind of go for.
Yeah, it was before that marine layer moved in and killed the sunset. I was really bummed. I really wanted the sunset in Cannon Beach.
And then I'm assuming this is Baker, right?
It is. It was a very old one also.
Has a kind of like a Mount Fuji kind of cloud on top of it too. I like that.
Yeah, I was driving in town one day and I happened to notice it, and so I drove out like Hannigan Road and found a good spot to just pull over and took a picture.
What lens did you use for this?
Oh, I have no idea. That was one of my first cameras, so it was probably a kit lens.
Yeah. Did you crop it? This one?
No. Well, it would have been my kit zoom lens.
Okay.
So.
Nice. This is really good. I like the details for the mountains and everything. I mean, everything's super clear for how far you were.
Well, I did some sharpening.
So, but even though, like, I still, for me, it's like, I guess my problems for some stuff is like sharpening helps me for some, but stuff if I'm really particular about my focusing on it. So if it's not like completely focused at a spot that I want it, I'll just ditch it.
Yeah, that was completely handheld.
Yeah.
Kit zoom lens. Yeah.
But yeah, Baker is a great mountain. I mean, like you can get good images from a variety of different places in this area, the northwest part of Northwest Washington. I got some great shots of Baker in San Juan. I got some stuff in Cordes. I got some good stuff in Baker of like everywhere, which is nice.
Well, your pictures are gorgeous, so.
Thank you. And the ones you sent me, your newest ones is the waterfall one. And where's this one?
That is Multnomah Falls.
Okay. In Oregon?
In Oregon. Oh. That is the bridge that everybody loves to be on.
Nice. So how long did you have to wait for it to be empty?
There wasn't very many people there. If you go during the week, it's not as bad.
Okay.
And it was also in the fall.
Oh, nice.
So there's not, during the summer, it's really, really busy there.
Okay.
But yeah, if you go a little later in the year, because they started charging during the summer.
Really?
It's only like $1.
Okay.
But you have to like prearrange your visit or something because it's so popular.
Do you have to have a pass for the parks there?
Only during the summer.
Only during the summer?
Yeah.
So it's not like...
In September, they stopped doing it. And last year, I think, was the first year that they did that.
Yeah.
It might have been partly because of the whole virus thing and that many people.
Yeah.
But yeah, so they kind of timed it. But I just didn't go during the summer. I went after.
Yeah. So does Oregon have, like in Washington, a lot of places you have to have a discovery pass or some type of pass in Washington. Does Oregon not have that?
They probably do, but it doesn't include those waterfalls.
Okay, well that's nice.
I mean, they're pretty much right along the highway.
Yeah.
There's this one exit you get off that'll take you up to Littoral Falls and Wakena Falls. I think Bridal Veil Falls. There's so many along there.
Nice.
It's so pretty.
Now, is there a bunch of hiking trails you can go down to?
Oh yeah, there's a lot.
That's nice too. And it's like, it looks like a very like, I mean, a nice like stereotypical waterfall too. Like if you eat something like, I'm thinking of a waterfall. Usually they think of something like this. And the bridge kind of makes it more like.
It's over 200 feet tall.
Really?
It's very big.
That's nice. I really like that too. Yeah, I was very jealous of that picture, the Tiger one, and the Oregon Coast one. I'm even more jealous now because it's definitely a spot where I passed.
That you drove right past.
I did on my choice. Well, because like I remember there was like a couple spots you can pull off on, and
there's so many pullouts.
And like I'm like, as a photographer and as a driver, it gets pretty reckless for me sometimes because at times I'm like, oh, that'd be a good place to take a picture. And I'm just my eyes just like darts behind me.
Yeah, I researched it before I went and looked at things other people had taken, and I was like, that's somewhere I want to go, and I wrote them all down. I had an entire schedule for the whole day, how much time I could spend at each spot, and everything.
Do you purposely pick the time of day to go there, or?
I was doing a one-day trip, so I started in the morning and worked my way up the coast.
Yeah, I usually try to go for, I don't know what my strategy is. Usually it's like, okay, I want this location, so I'm going to go this day. Usually probably in the morning time. I usually don't try to pick a particular time of day because I know for some photographers, like I need to go this certain hour or this time. But it's like me, it's like, but I think early morning or afternoon is kind of my preferred time for pictures.
I'm not super early morning, but.
Well, mine's like.
Not a sunrise girl.
Mine's like before noon, or like or like 10, maybe 11, depending on the time of the year. In Washington or here, it's like the time frames are messed up anyways, compared to the Midwest where these long dark seasons of nights and long daytimes and all that stuff. So that really messes me up a little bit, but.
Not getting dark till 10 o'clock at night.
Yeah. So now it's like usually like early mornings or afternoon, like the golden hour sunsets are definitely a great time, but it really depends on what I'm looking at too. So this part of let's see. Oh, that's what I was talking about. All right. So this segment is like, where are you going now? What's your plans for the future? Any prospects of places or?
All over the U.S. I would actually love to start working online from home.
Oh, nice.
Do what yet, I don't know. But then just get a fifth wheel and just go travel for a few years.
Oh, that'd be nice. I'm hoping to do that with this podcast to interview some people, some variety of stuff, photographers, landscape artists, even outdoor stuff like campers or mountain climbers. We have some friends that work at some national parks down in your side of me too.
Yeah, I want to hit all the national parks. That's the other thing. It's like I do it for me, so I'm not like looking to make money off them kind of thing.
Yeah.
So you can actually, I don't think you need a license if it's just for personal use.
Yeah.
But I know they've changed things recently, so I'd have to.
With what for national parks?
It's just like in national parks.
So I looked this up too.
Because I know they've changed things.
So I'm a big sticker with rules for parks, and I want to be fair. Like I just be respectful, and I'm all about respectful and stuff like that. Like it's like I'll take your pictures, but you won't notice I'm there, or I won't leave anything behind.
Right.
Kind of situation. So national parks. As long as you don't have, I think you can have a tripod with you, but anything else besides a tripod would be considered a prop, or if you have people in your picture, which is in your case won't be an issue. They consider it as a model. You get to have a permit for it. But if you don't, if you just have your tripod and a camera, you don't need a permit for national parks.
That's good to know.
And you can use those pictures for just selling something like that. You get,
That's why all the YouTubers, I'm guessing, are having issues. They can't film.
you can't
because
film there.
it's- Right.
You can do a video for it. So as soon as you can video it, because they can't really disclose what is for recreationally and what's professionally. So if
Right.
I'm filming a bear in a park, which that would be amazing when you see that. And that's it. And that's kind of like in the gray zone of like what they can do. But if I'm like talking or as like narrating this in front of the video or as a model or have props like lighting or other stuff with it, and that's kind of where it's like, all right, you either have to get a permit or you get the fine. Drones, on the other hand, is a different story, which
Yeah,
is
I don't think they're allowed to do that either.
some places you don't,
And some of them.
and then you get a permit for it, and then the worst part about the drones is like eagles, which is funny.
Oh, I didn't think of that.
Because like their process is like, yeah, there's some places you can film stuff here, and there's some places you can't film, no matter if you have a permit or not. It's their rules.
Right.
But there's some places like there's wildlife there too, so they're like, well, if something happens to your equipment, it's your fault. And
That's true.
bald eagles and other large birds of prey are very territorial, especially with drones. They don't like that. So
I mean, that's fair.
um,
They don't know what it is coming at them.
No.
Completely
we have some bald
foreign to them.
We have some bald eagles here, and they're very like protective, and other hawks and eagles and
We
stuff
have
like
a
that.
lot here. They
Yeah.
nest out in Nooksack.
What's your small pets?
I don't live in Nooksack, so it's never been an issue for us. But out there, for sure.
And I think I did this backwards. We talked about the bucket list. Has there been any bucket list items that you already achieved?
Half the Oregon coast.
Half
I
it?
haven't done the other half yet.
The south half of it?
I have not done the south half. I want to.
That'd be nice. I've definitely go to Oregon again. I like the one sandy beaches, which is.
I know. That's something that we don't have up
Yeah,
here.
there's one. They're actually having a. Have you been to Clayton Beach
No.
in Bellingham?
Oh, probably.
So it's they're considered the only sandy beach in Wacom.
Yeah, I think I've been there.
And you had to cross-
once.
You had to cross the railroad. It's not an official trail because you had to cross the railroad tracks, which legitimately crossing it,
Yes.
which is not the safest. So now they're.
We used to walk down the tracks here. Come on,
Yeah.
that's okay. Slip both ways.
But now they're making it so it's accessible. So I don't know if they're making a tunnel underneath it or I don't know what they're doing because you can't move the tracks there. But they're making more have access to it so you can walk down there to take
Well,
pictures.
there's a tunnel under the tracks at Laramie, so
Yeah.
they can do that.
Yeah. So I know that's but southern coast of Oregon. There's some places in Oregon I definitely want to go back to, especially the beaches there. And was it puffins, the birds at Canyon Beach?
I didn't see any puffins when I was there,
Yeah.
but we looked. I didn't see any. But you can't get as close either, because they don't want you
No,
disturbing them.
No.
So,
that's kind of a big deal for anywhere you go to.
not true.
It's like, don't touch our animals.
Yeah, and the beaches in Oregon are very popular, so there's a lot of people.
Oh, yeah. Canyon Beach is
Yeah,
massively big. And,
it is. There's so many people.
and the parking is horrible there too. So if you go to Canyon Beach, go there early. And it's very deceptive because there's no parking, but once you come to the beach, it's like
Massive.
massive and yeah.
Yeah. I mean, I guess you can walk a few blocks to the beach. They've got parking in town.
Yeah.
But if you're trying to hit like right there on that rock, it's gonna be, you gotta drive up the road more and there's no parking.
No. And if you're not used to like that kind of area where that coastal town roads, it's kind of daunting a little bit. Now living here like in Blaine and Birch Bay and Washington, it's like, all right, I know how you guys are set up now, these towns.
Yeah, it's weird because you feel like you're walking like through people's yards, but they've got access points to the beach all over the place and all of their beach is public.
Nice. So if you have a recommended place to go, or for a photographer or anyone to check out here locally, what place would that be?
I mean, locally, Walker Falls is one to check out.
Walker Falls.
Yeah.
It's a beautiful place.
I love the bridge there.
Oh, it's
I'm
nice.
really obsessed with the bridge. I actually had my senior pictures taken on that bridge.
Really?
I did,
It's a
yeah.
good- Did it have water in the waterfall?
It did, but I was on the other side of the bridge,
Nice.
not with the waterfall behind me.
Did you ever go swimming there?
No,
Okay, I know it's a big swimming spot.
all of my friends probably did, but I was not a cliff jumper.
Oh,
So
yeah,
that's not
yeah.
something we did. I mean, we grew up going to the lakes, and as long as it was 62 out, we could go swimming.
Yeah, I really like how that park's set up. It's nicely because you get some variety of trails, but there's some trails that you can walk along the river.
Yeah.
Creek, river with it. So
Creek. I don't know.
I don't know, but
It's a creek. It's Walking Falls Creek.
yeah.
Yeah.
But that's a great recommendation. I did a video of it earlier, but I might do another one for that, or go there again for this video for that. But
I mean, there's another place, but it's not in town.
what is it?
What's it called? They have a bunch of waterfalls up there. Oh boy, I'm so bad with names of towns and cities and people and.
I'm the same way.
It's in Mount Baker National Forest, but you have to go through Cedar Valley to get there first.
Okay.
I don't know the name of it. But it's where Seattle City Light is at,
Okay.
that town up there. There's a ton of waterfalls up there, and lakes and trails and camping. There's nobody there.
Really?
Nobody lives there except for the people that work for Seattle City Light. And if you go in the off season, it's not busy.
Yeah.
So if you go spring or fall, you feel like you're alone up there. Diablo Lake is up there. I don't remember the name of that little town.
Have you ever been to New Haven,
That's
Washington?
what it is. That's what I'm talking about.
Is it really?
Yes, that's it.
That's
It's New Haven. I love it.
what's the funniest part about this is if you look behind you, there's a
Is
giant
it behind me?
picture.
Yes, it's behind me. And
You
I
hate-
didn't even see that. Yeah, I love that place.
No, that's what's funny now. It's like I was about to recommend that. It's like, well, I found this place. We did Nadia and I did a couple pictures in the fall. We tried to do a couple pictures for holidays, stuff like that, to send out to the family. And we went there, and beautiful waterfalls, a variety of stuff. There's the dams there for the where you mentioned before, so that's funny. But yeah, if you liked Angel's pictures, you can check her out on Angel Hayes Photography on Facebook. And is it Picture Perfect Washington
Yeah.
Facebook group?
It's a group for anybody, no matter your skill level, anybody who likes doing nature, animal pictures in the Northwest can join.
Nice. I'll probably join after this. I'm done with this recording. I'd like to thank Angel for coming to be our first guest. She's
Thanks for
amazing.
having me.
Yeah, she showed some amazing pictures and shared some great traveling stories with us. And you can check this out at the podcast, the audio part of it on Spotify and Apple Podcasts. And next on Tuesday, you can see the YouTube version of this. And then we might have a special highlight or recommendation video at the end of the video. And you can also see some Angel's amazing pictures that I'm going to try to describe here on the audio side of it, but definitely recommend it. The Oregon tiger pictures are amazing. The waterfalls too. She has some places and locations that I want to go to, intend to. But yeah, I'm going to say goodbye, listeners. Whatcom Falls Park is a 241-acre park located in Bellingham, Washington. The park is named after Whatcom Creek, which runs through this park and features several picturesque waterfalls, including the namesake Whatcom Falls. The park offers a variety of recreational activities, including hiking, picnics, fishing, and swimming. The park has several miles of hiking trails that wind through the forested hillside and along the creek. offering visitors a chance to see the park's natural beauty up close. Welcome Falls Park is a popular destination for locals and visitors alike, offering a peaceful escape from the city and a chance to enjoy the beauty of the Pacific Northwest.